Oi! Hello, governor. Let's go down for a bit of football here in London, isn't it? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for tuning in. This is Requiem for a Tuesday, and I am Adam Pecora. First off the bat, apologies for having more audio problems. The studio move nightmare from hell just lives on. Woke up for a piss about 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. Sunday morning. Have to walk past the studio room, the den, as I like to refer it, even though nobody just by choice, nobody comes in here. I don't know why. I think it's nice, but whatever. That's fine. And curtain rod completely gone. Got a nice bull skull, cattle skull, a Texas steer, hopefully. Luckily that thing caught it. I mean, either way, they're just fucking curtains and the rod's pretty lightweight, so it could have landed on some stuff and it probably would have been fine. But that kind of broke the fall. Almost ripped the skull out of the wall, though. If that falls, that's bad. So actually, I probably should move more stuff, thinking about that. So yeah, just no curtains. So more echo than we want. There's still too much echo in here, even with the curtains added. So rocking a hard place right now. Tried to go non-destructive, use the sticky things. I washed the walls beforehand with soap and with alcohol. Apparently was not enough. What am I supposed to do? The middle of the night. Windows closed. It's not like the wind blew it down somehow. Just fell down. And your boy's on a deadline here. I got to get the people the episode. So ideally, next week, we will return to optimal recording conditions. Well, they're not really optimal, as I just said, but you get the point. So having said that, please rate, review, and subscribe. Isn't this a great and well-made show? The production value through the roof. I'm going to be really distracted through this episode because I think it's in my own head, like it's that I'm hearing more echoes in here. And I'm just a lunatic. So this is going to be like an Edgar Allan Poe poem the rest of the episode. I'm going to be hearing things that aren't there, and it's just my psyche getting to me. Anyway, rate, review, subscribe, share this episode. I don't know what to make of podcast data, frankly. I get inconsistent numbers from every source. So I don't know what's true and what isn't true, but apparently the numbers are through the roof right now, and if that's true, fantastic. But they just were shockingly low. So I don't know how any of that works. Which is why, I don't know. Is it doing well? You guys tell me. Nobody tells me. So that either means it is, or it's doing terribly. But whatever. It's doing something. It exists. You can't tell me it doesn't exist. So please rate, review, and subscribe. Share the episodes. Look, if I was good at marketing or gaining a following, I'd have something by now. I beg and plea every week because genuinely I have no idea what to do. So we're going to stay at this level until something happens. But I won't have done whatever that something is. Hit me up, CAA. Don't you want all of this talent? Anyway, Instagram at adam.rfat, merch at rfat.bigcartel.com. What else we got? Music, Multiplex, Wolfx. Go stream those. Definitely nobody listens to our music. That I can confirm. There's nobody out there. So hey, you could be one of the first ones. Be our fan. Be our literal number one fan. Be the only fan. Ooh. Maybe we should sign up for OnlyFans. Maybe that's what I need to get this podcast going. Huh? I won't, but let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Smash that subscribe button. Okay. What are we talking about today? Just kidding. More casual episode this week. I was not able to get back to the theater. I wanted to see that new Saturday night movie, which is essentially just like a dramatic retelling of the first episode of Saturday Night Live. I do agree with the notion for this movie that it is a little silly just given how much documenting doesn't matter how much recorded history there is of this. Now, that's not to say, like, you know, there's movies about 9/11. I think everybody's pretty aware that happened. So, you know, just from a perspective like that, it's kind of like, okay, well, here it is as a movie. I do, however, think on the flip side of that, it's just that so many of the people are so iconic. You know, where it's like the guy who plays Chevy Chase, for example, in the trailer may kind of act like Chevy Chase. And, you know, the guy's a dick, blah, blah, blah. We know the whole thing. But the point is just like, you can't invoke his level of charisma. Like, you'd have to, like, discover another guy that's as good as Chevy Chase to be able to do it. Same thing with like Belushi or whatever. Now you can find me. They got Gabriel Abel, my guy from Snack Shack. Possibly my movie of the year. Who knows? It's not, but it's up there. I thoroughly love that movie. Anyway, he can play Lorne Michaels. We don't really know Lorne Michaels. Now, like fans of the show, of course, do. Fans of alums of SNL that have done his impression millions of times. You're definitely like aware of Lorne Michaels. I would say the most casual people aren't, which is good. And then like getting producers and stuff, or like, I don't know what Jim Henson was like, things like that, where it's like, you're not trying to fulfill the shoes of someone that is a legendary performer. However, that's also what makes this movie interesting, is that all those people were in it, which is why you would want to see it. So it's kind of like a catch-22. They can't really win in that situation. So that's my expectation, is being like, even if the movie is exciting, and they did a great job with the trailer, it really seems like it's just going to be like a rapid pace, nonstop movie. And if that's the case and it's entertaining, then that's great. But I do think like no matter what, it'll just have to be held back by the characters being larger than the people playing them a billion times over. There's like multiple all-time legends. And, you know, just big shoes to fill. So we'll see. Hopefully I can get to that this weekend and we can put that on next week. But we're going to talk MaXXXine. Watched that finally over the weekend. Had been on my list since it had been in theaters, and then frankly just unreasonable renting prices held me back. I don't really have a better excuse than that, but I'm not going to pay $20 to rent a movie just because I couldn't make it in theater. I'm not going to pay more. I think it was down to like $5 finally. Perfect threshold for a rental as far as I'm concerned. If you're not familiar with MaXXXine, the conclusion of what is effectively the MaXXXine trilogy, but kind of not really, the Mia Goth trilogy by Ty West. I always want to say T West because it's T-I, even though it doesn't make sense because like literally the letter I. Why wouldn't it be Ty, I guess? I don't know. Am I right about that? You tell me. So the overarching story is, I'll just run through each movie. We start with X, which is like kind of an homage. I wouldn't say kind of. All of these movies are really homages in their own way, heavily. So this one is an homage to like a 70s grindhouse horror movie or even a prestige one. It's, you know, a little bit similar to like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre plot. With the catch of it being like a porno production crew. So forgive me because I don't remember the exact details here. But basically, Pearl is like starring in the movie, the porn. And there's 4 or 5 people. I think like Kid Cudi's one of them. I believe this was like an early Jenna Ortega pop-off appearance. And they pull up to some like farmhouse they rented from some couple. I don't know how you make this kind of arrangement in the past, but they did it. And it's an old elderly couple. And they're weird right away, and it's bad vibes. And as always, like, everybody should know better in this case. There's a dude, I believe it's Jenna Ortega's boyfriend, is just like, he's the filmer or something. And she's just kind of along for the ride. And then at some point, she decides she wants to be in it. In which case, all the people who are porn makers are like, fuck yeah. But the boyfriend is like, oh, that's whack. And he gets totally cucked out. And everybody basically roasts him for being a pussy. And then his girlfriend gets fucked on camera while he, like, cries alone. And I gotta say, I feel bad for my boy here. You know, it's not easy. What are you supposed to do in that situation? Like, you're probably right overall. But when you're the only, like, cuck sad boy and everybody's like, we fuck on camera, bro. Like, she wants to do it. Why are you being gay? You know? It's like, why are you trying to tell women what to do with their bodies? And then on top of that, he gets killed right after. Oh, so also Pearl is, like, watching them the whole time. And she's, like, fingering herself or something while they're filming and stuff. And then I think... Oh, then she grabs Pearl in the barn and, like, is like, I'm obsessed with you or something. Like, you look just like me, which obviously adds up for later. And it also is literally Mia Goth plays Pearl, the old lady. So whether or not there even was going to be the second movie, like, it did make sense to be like, yeah, we literally are the same person. So we might as well mention that we look alike here. So yeah, she tries to bang the cuck dude, but she's old and gross. So obviously he's not into that. And then she kills the fuck out of him, which, you know, just a really tough day for that guy. You know, at the very least, if you're going to be the cuck guy, you know, maybe he gets to survive, but they really just do this dude dirty. And they're like, if you're not down to fuck, really just get out of here. And then I think it just goes completely out of control from there. And, you know, it's just, she's killing everybody. And everybody's running around and whatever. And I think at one point they feed somebody to an alligator. And then the usual stuff. You know, you try to fight her off. You can't. You think she's dead, but she's not. All that type of shit. And then MaXXXine kills Pearl at the end. She's the last one to survive. And it's a solid movie. You know, they kind of lean into what they're trying to do in terms of like the 70s vintage theme. It's very like Robert Rodriguez-y, I guess, where it's like explicitly, you know, a grindhouse movie, for lack of a better term for Ty West here. But, so like it's good. So, you know, I wouldn't call it like bone-chillingly terrifying or crazy original, but it's a very, you know, they have their own take with it. And Pearl's gross and creepy, and I believe she's naked multiple times, and it's gross and fun and all that good stuff. A very solid movie. So then the trailer for Pearl comes out, and it is the origin story of Pearl, the old lady who kills everyone in X. And, you know, it's very inspired by, you know, like the Wizard of Oz, I guess. is what comes to mind. I don't know if that's necessarily accurate. But I mean, it just has that like Technicolor quality. Let's see. I mean, the Wikipedia page does cite Wizard of Oz and Mary Poppins as references. This is much less straightforward of a horror movie and kind of its own thing. I mean, it's just a slower pace, and it's not necessarily like a big bad. I mean, she is the killer, so it's not like it's not a protagonist up against a killer. It's just it just says what happens in her life. So, it's set in like the early 1900s. They're like poor, whatever. And, just everything is terrible. Her dad's like really sick or something. She's like married really young and he's mean to her. Her mom is mean to her and like overprotecting. And she just like keeps being crazy the whole movie on top of that, obviously. So she like kills animals and eventually people. And is just weird. I think she like fucks a scarecrow or something. And she also has ambitions of wanting to be a star, which was MaXXXine's thing and is in MaXXXine as well, which we're about to get to. And so she auditions for the church play or something and then loses and snaps and kills the girl who won. And she kills everybody. Kills her parents. She kills a bunch of people. And then it's basically like, I want to be a star. That's the end. That's kind of the theme of all three. And this one's much more, like I said, it's much more artistic in a way. It still has like the same level of like gruesomeness to the kills. For something I didn't really mention about the first one. Like just very brutal stuff. I don't find it gross, but, it's just like splatter heavy. We're showing organs. We're going extreme. So when she is killing, it is that. But then outside of that, it's just kind of like a drama, but about a horror movie character. So it's like a cartoonish drama with like mega violence in it. And I thought it was very well made. I would say the filmmaking skill in each movie levels up a lot leading into MaXXXine, but I do think, MaXXXine just lacked more plot. So that's what's tricky here. Like when I'm thinking about how I would want to rank these movies, I don't really have an answer. Because talking about MaXXXine, so MaXXXine is incredibly engaging right away. The first like half an hour is done in 30 seconds. Like it goes by super fast. This is like an 80s noir thriller film. That's the homage in this one. And again, they lean into it all very heavily. The font is stylized that way. The score is stylized that way. They do a good job of just like making all of these movies very specific to the movies they're referencing. A lot of like double camera at the same time. I don't really know how to explain that, but just like split screen stuff, which I feel like is very 80s. All of the camera work in this movie is awesome. The lighting, the style in every way in this movie is great and by far the best. The problem is it just doesn't really go anywhere, and it like technically wraps up and connects, but you're just left wanting more. So it's MaXXXine. This is set however many years after the events of X. And she is now trying to transition from porn to like horror movies and like be a real actress. It opens with her crushing an audition, and she genuinely is like great in it. Awesome scene. And, she has a bunch of friends who are in the industry. They're porn, stripper, whatever, adjacent. And it just kind of shows you like what her life is like now in LA. And then those people kind of die one by one. And the most unnecessary thing for this movie is that they set it alongside Richard Ramirez. They're like, the Night Stalker's around. And they keep alluding to like this, like somehow connecting to the Night Stalker. But really, they're just like letting you know the time and place and that people are afraid, I guess. But it never pays off in any way. There's no connection to it. They never try to run into it. So it's baffling to me to use I thought it was weird to use the real killer either way. Why not just create a similar name? You know? Whatever it would be. The Midnight Murderer? I don't know. Whatever thing you want. And just make his MO seem very similar. They just keep referencing him on like news stations and stuff throughout the thing. Another cool thing they do is like transition cameras into video cameras and like TV screens and stuff like that, especially since it's so like Hollywood based. Big homage to just like movie making in here. Maybe not homage, I guess a like love letter to it. They're at studios quite a bit. And basically now, and then Pearl at the same time, while her friends are being killed, so the cops are trying to talk to her about her friends being killed, but then there's a private detective who's trying to talk to her about the situation that happened in X. Like, it's kind of like her past coming back to haunt her. That is played by Kevin Bacon, who is like a cartoon in this movie. He is the worst part of this movie outside of the Richard Ramirez thing, only because he's doing some weird like Cajun accent, and he's just really out of place in like a super cartoonish way, whereas everybody else is kind of playing it pretty straight. It's just odd. Like, his accent holds up, but it's just weird, and he doesn't need to be Foghorn Leghorn for no reason. So I just don't understand that. And it's kind of alluded to that the person that's killing her friends is also the guy that has hired Kevin Bacon to do this. And they're also alluding that he's like also a powerful guy. So you think that's all going to turn into some big twist. And really it just turns into that's her dad, and he is in some weird like Christian movies or the devil cult thing, and they're trying to kill all the bad. It's like an anti-Charles Manson thing. Like, we're going to kill bad people. Whatever. I don't really know. It's all very loose, and then at the end, you know, she just kind of wins. The detective characters just kind of die, and Bobby Cannavale, pretty good in the movie. Good comic relief. So it's just kind of underwhelming, everything that happens. Like, and she's trying to balance it all with trying to be on this horror movie, and she keeps fucking it up because all this crazy shit keeps coming. And then she just kind of figures it all out really quickly, and the whole movie just kind of, the build-up is great, and then it just falls apart and like nothing happens. So that is unfortunate. Giancarlo Esposito plays her agent, and he's like a scummy, grimy style agent. He's awesome. Yeah, it just really didn't work. There's a great scene in which MaXXXine gets, someone tries to like mug her in an alley, and I think it's David Dastmalchian. Excuse me for that pronunciation. I could be wrong about that, but I really feel like that was him. It looked like him anyway. I don't know. But that was really good, and she basically is just like, I've done a whole lot worse than this. Like, nobody's going to fucking stop me. And yeah, she's great the whole time. Really, I don't have anything that I could say negatively about like Mia Goth or like her performance in this. Just tough. But this movie's similar to like, I don't know, what's that movie? 8mm? Like, I feel like that's kind of the vibe that it's going for, but then it just doesn't really get there. And then at the end, she kills her dad. And they do a thing where it's like she's about to kill him, and then it cuts away, and it implies that like, oh, she didn't do it. And now she's at the premiere of the movie she's working on and she's a big star. But then it cuts back and it's like, oh, she was just envisioning that, and then she shoots him in the head. But the cops are there. There's like a helicopter overhead. And then so you think like, oh, she fucked this up and then ended up doing it. But then it cuts again and she is still just working on the movie. Because obviously she wasn't actually like liable for that, I guess. Like, and she wouldn't have gotten into legal trouble. But it's just like, why is it both? Like, she actually is going to be a star then still, like, potentially. I don't know. Anyway, Moses Sumney played her friend, and he was like a video store guy, and that was cool. Like, everything about it was cool. I just really think they kind of underdeveloped and half-baked the ending. It doesn't really explain how her dad is somehow like this high level guy. I mean, I guess they're just saying that like he basically formed a cult, and so they have a bunch of money because of that, because they have like a house in the hills where they're luring people and killing them. So I suppose that's it, but it's just kind of loose, like I said, and they mislead you with the other connection. But I do think it was my favorite watch of the three, so that's why it's tough. Like, the first 70% of MaXXXine is by far the best movie of the three, but the ending kind of makes it even. And I would say Pearl is my least favorite because she just kind of screams a lot. Just kind of gives me a headache just watching a crazy person be crazy the whole time. So, I mean, I guess I would say like MaXXXine 1A, X2 or 1B, and then Pearl 2. My cop-out ranking of the three. But I don't know. It's a little bit disappointing that that's going to be the end. But, I mean, like I said, the filmmaking, excellent. Ty West edited the movie also. He did a great job, again, unless he left a bulk of plot in the ending on the floor. Then I don't know. But, like, visually awesome, music awesome, all that stuff. And Mia Goth, hella talented. Let's say hella talented. But, you know, let me know in the comments what you think. All right. We're going to close it out here with a quick sports corner. Another week above 500. Again, barring the Monday night game tonight, in which I have the Bills, which that seems like a safe bet. But maybe the Jets get the new coach bump. Although if I'm them, I guess what do you do? They should have fired the coach in the offseason. Hindsight is 2020, but it just seemed like that would have been the right move anyway. Kind of like what we thought about the Bears, but now it's like getting more murky because they keep winning, which we'll get to, of course. But really they need an offensive change, like more than anything. Their defense is still good, and he's the defensive guy. Like it's the same problem as the Bears, but they were just completely unable to do anything about it. And maybe Aaron Rodgers is washed, like a million X factors here. But I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't seem like they're going to get it together. But we'll see. So we got Colts, Titans. I mistakenly took the Titans in this one. 3-point game. Joe Flacco's just dealing. Again, another example, like a guy who was on the Jets and everybody just like it was guaranteed that he was washed. I couldn't believe any other team had picked him up. And now he's just been dealing ever since. And the Titans, I mean, what a disaster. Will Levis is just truly a disaster. It's like you can see the physical traits are there. But boy, like when you just can't make a good decision for the life of you, what can your team do? Calvin Ridley's furious. It's like you signed with the Titans, man. Like, what'd you expect? Texans, Patriots, that was a no-brainer. Kind of surprised Drake May played as well as he did. But they still lost by 20, so like what can you do there? Pittsburgh Raiders. Made a mistake of taking the Raiders in this one. Again, these are all preseason picks. So I'm imagining by week 9 or 10, these are really going to fall apart. I'm surprised we're still above 500 for the year every week. Anyway, I don't really have anything to say about either team. They both are exactly who you think, though, still at this point of the season. I don't trust the Steelers' offense still at all. They really should make a move for a receiver. And the Raiders are just terrible. They really should trade Devontae. Like, that's who should want Devontae Adams as the Steelers. But whatever. Chargers had that. No, I did not. I had the Broncos, another huge mistake. I do really like this Chargers team. I think if they can pull somebody into a bigger role on offense, like they really just don't have like a go-to guy in any capacity. I know that they're in like a tricky cap situation, but like for this season, I thought they'd make the playoffs. They definitely still can. Their defense is legit, like I always thought. I mean, they had dudes, and Brandon Staley was just wasting that roster. So yeah, I don't know. The offensive line stays healthy. They just got to find some guys because they're a little tough to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Bears, Jags in London, really salty. ESPN was like $25 parlay assurance. Like, you'll get $25 bonus bet if this doesn't hit. I said, give me Cole Kmet and the Bears -1. Would have qualified for that bet. Would have made me $100, $120 profit. And I just went, you know what? Like, I can't be reckless. Let me be good with my budget this week. I was real bad with my budget last week. I'm not going to do it. Turns out that was stupid for my budget. They smoked him. Cole Kmet scored in the first quarter. The game went as perfectly as you would have pictured it could go. We beat the fuck out of them just like we did with the Panthers. As I've said all year, defense is legit. Trevor Lawrence is terrible. Like, everything I've said about both teams is completely true. This game was evidence of that. Caleb would have had 5 TDs if DJ Moore could have got like 6 more inches on one play. Really just nothing negative to say. I mean, our running game is working so much and our defense is so good. And Caleb is spreading the ball around so well that on the limited volume throws that he's throwing, that nobody's really having that big of a game. Which I guess is like the biggest negative, is just that like the stats for the receivers aren't that good, which is like a great position to be in. But I mean, that's it. Like, that's such a just nitpicky nothing thing. The offensive line is playing well. They have Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, and those guys did not really get pressure on us. Now, their defense as a unit is bad. Do not get me wrong. But the fact that, like, one-on-ones are a nightmare for our guys normally, and especially earlier this season, as we all saw. So that's huge that they're getting this to work and click. This is what it was supposed to be in the preseason, just like a functional, solid offensive line that plays well most of the time. Really just can't ask for more. Could not be happier. If they beat the Commanders off the bye, I mean, we're looking at a real thing here for sure. Where, like, hey, we could maybe win a playoff game is what we're looking at. Again, I know the back end of the schedule's tough, but I mean, this is just like, it's like nothing we've seen before. The fact that Caleb Williams in his 6th game is like, quarterbacks for the Bears just don't do this. Look off a safety and then make a throw deep. They don't hold a guy in one spot and no look throw somewhere else. They don't distribute the ball all over the field. They don't have passing charts that are dynamic. They don't break contain and then make a smart throw down the field. They don't run the ball and then not fumble or something. Like, you know what I mean? The fact that he just isn't doing horrible, boneheaded, terrible things, that's amazing already. And then the fact that he's throwing dimes left and right is just a whole nother thing. The future is bright. The fact that like we're now looking at like a great season with him as a rookie. And I get the CJ Stroud thing is kind of spoiling how well he's doing because he struggled at first, and the same thing with Jaden Daniels happening in Washington. Hey, look, the Bears and the Commanders have the same record. And you can only play the teams you play. So if you want to talk competition, whatever, that's one thing. But this is a real football team. And the Jaguars are a complete disaster, like I said. I would say that if they didn't have 2 games back-to-back in London, that the coach would be fired. But the Bears did everything right, got there early in the week. The Jags got there late, especially because of a delay from the Hurricanes. Our special teams is awesome. We can just force fumbles whenever we want, get interceptions all the time, even though we're down 3 guys in the secondary. Like, just phenomenal win all around. All right. Ravens over Commanders, had that no problem. Derrick Henry on the Ravens is worse of a problem than even I envisioned, and I thought that would be an insane combination. I mean, he might run for 2,000 fucking yards again, and he's like 32. Maybe not that old, but 29, 30. I mean, he's just unstoppable. He's about to hit 100 career touchdowns in like 9 seasons, and the Titans didn't even play him really the first year, and I feel like not even really his second year. Just one of my favorite players in the NFL. I love Derrick Henry. And Lamar, I mean, has leveled up again. That's why I do kind of think this is their year. I took the Browns over the Eagles, which the Eagles wanted the Browns to win that game, and the Browns are just so inept, and Deshaun Watson is so terrible that it's just not going to happen. And unfortunately for the Browns, like, your guys signed him to that deal, and they're not going to not let him play. I just don't know how you keep facing the media and go, Deshaun gives us the best chance to win. It's like every stat says that he is literally the worst quarterback in the NFL. Like he does not give you the best chance to win. That's just 100% not true. And I just feel like every time he comes up on screen, it's just like no matter what is happening in front of him or with the D-line or whatever is going on the play, he'll hold the ball for about 2 seconds and then just run to his right like it's Madden, and that's what you're supposed to do. Like, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if that is directly into a defender or if that then opens up a lane for a defender to come right through. And that's why he gets sacked so much. Their offensive line is banged up and bad, but like he literally is just like not doing what is the right decision on the play ever. They can't convert a third down. It's just devastating. And they're wasting a unit on defense. Like, luckily for the Bears, it's like the defense came on at the end of last year after we got Montez Sweat. We all know that. But, like, Dexter was a rookie. He's leveled up this year. Every guy in the secondary is better. I mean, Jalen is just as good, if not better, but, like, he was already elite. So, like, we're still trending up. The Browns' defense is probably, like, at its peak. They've been good for 3 years now, it feels like. And the offense just keeps going backwards. What are they going to do? It's tragic. Bengals, easy pick, but an ugly win. Do they feel that good about it? I don't know. I feel like their schedule's a little bit easier the next couple weeks, so they need to get back to 500 to really have a shot before this spirals out of control. And the Giants, it's a lost season. They're going to have moments. They might win 6-7 games, but their offense is so inconsistent. They either can't do anything or they're competent. It's weird. Let's see. That Thursday game, I took Seattle for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Whatever. The 49ers, I don't know how they just keep putting any running back in there, and it just always works no matter what. That'll never make any sense to me. I don't care how good a scheme is. Took the Cardinals over the Packers. Look, the Packers are fucking awesome. That's really frustrating, and the Cardinals seem to not be very good. Seems like the offense, talk about a hit or miss one. They have not really seemed to be able to hit, and Marvin Harrison might be hurt now, so that's terrifying for them. I believe the Bears have them after Washington, which is after the bye. So, I mean, health won't really line up for that for us. Took Tampa over New Orleans. You know, I think Tampa's like a legit contender, which I've said. You know, they're still pretty much the Super Bowl team. Like, those weapons on offense are real, and Baker's doing just great. The Saints, no faith in the Saints. Lions, Cowboys. Didn't expect the blowout, had the Lions. The Hayden Hutchinson thing is really the story here. Will they be okay? I think that really hurts them in terms of like Super Bowl aspirations. I think as far as the season goes, like they're still probably going to be 12 wins. But I think if I'm the Lions, like your window's big. Your team is built and guys are under contract for the next 4 years. But you've really got a shot at this thing, man. I think you give up a second-round pick to get an edge rusher from somebody somewhere at the deadline. Why not get a guy? It doesn't even have to be a second-round pick necessarily. Get somebody. Jadeveon Clowney's on a 1 year in Carolina playing for no reason. Their season is over. Give them a 5th rounder for Jadeveon Clowney for the rest of your season. That's just a name that I'm throwing out there. But think like that. A guy on the last year of his deal, maybe somebody with 2 years left, whatever, fuck your cap up for a season. I don't know if you want to do something like that. But why not give some capital up to just like really go in on this season and like see what you can do? Because you're off to such a great start. And I know the instinct is going to be like, well, let's just see if we can do it with what we got. Like, we believe in this team and all that. And I get that. But just for depth alone, you should want someone else. So maybe it's a smaller trade for a lesser player or something. But I would make a move if I were them. And then Falcons, Panthers. I mean, that was easy. As we just said, the Panthers are terrible. It feels weird to think that maybe your team is good. I'm going to give it 2 more games because if we lose to Washington but at least look good, I'll still feel good. I think our defense will do a good job against them, though. And after that, like, we pretty much have to beat Arizona, and then it's the Patriots. Like, the Bears, if they don't go 2-1 or 3-0 in the next 3, we will lower expectations, is I guess what I'm saying. But if they're at least 2-1 in the next 3, like the hype is going to be as high as it was since 2018, which I technically think it is already, but just not at that point in the year just yet. So that was Sports Corner this week. I don't know what I got for you next week. We'll see if it's Saturday night. Once again, thank everybody for tuning in. If the data's right, and if you're not tuning in, then I'm talking to a couple people, so thank you. Either way, we appreciate it. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Requiem for Tuesday. It really helps us in the little algorithm that runs our lives, that we don't know how it works, but it's just in charge, and that's how it is, and that's okay, I guess. Merch, rfat.bigcartel.com. Share the episodes. I really think that goes a long way. We can just get the word out there somehow. Maybe one day I will have reliable data that expresses good things. But either way, I'm not going anywhere, baby. I'm here for the diehards. We're going strong. Requiem for a Tuesday coming at you every week for the foreseeable future. What else do we got? That's about it. YouTube, music. Check out all the links in the description below. Instagram, whatever. I'm on the internet, baby. I'm plugged in. I'm connected. So, Google me. Whatever. Oh, I also want to watch Robot Dreams. That animated movie was nominated for an Oscar. And I believe it's silent. Like, I think there's a score, but I believe it's, like, silent. And it's, like, Manhattan in the 80s or something. I like the animation style, so I might check that out. We'll see if that makes the cut. All right, I am actually going to get out of here now. Once again, for the last time, thank you for tuning in, and remember, I are fat. You are fat. We are fat. Calculator.